So you've generated your content with ChatGPT and you've run it through a paraphrasing tool like Quillbot and you're good to go, right? Wrong. I'll tell you why. Okay, so firstly, it's blowing an absolute gale outside. So I do apologize if you do hear a howling wind. And my little friends decided to jump up on my lap just as I started to record. So we've got an extra guest today. Okay, so there have been some major developments in the world of AI detection tools, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm also going to address a question that came in through a subscriber about what are the best grammar checks and grammar tools to use. But before we start, once again, if you'd like to get the prompt guide with the prompts that I use to create my non-fiction books, you can grab your prompt guide from the link below. And also there's links to my existing books and also the tools that I use in the process of creating those books. And if you want to have a deeper dive into the world of non-fiction writing with ChatGPT, you can check out my latest book, The Non-Fiction Writer's Companion Guide. Okay, and the good news is the text, the first draft for my next book is all generated, but I've probably got, I don't know, about 10 days of editing to do to get it to that polished state, ready to publish. Okay, so let's start with AI content detectors. And as I said, in the past, there's been a lot of people out there saying all you need to do is generate your content with ChatGPT and then just push it through something like Quillbot and you're good to go. The AI detectors cannot find it. Well, that's not true anymore. And I think it comes to a point when you're generating stuff with AI that you're just transparent, that you mention in your book or whatever you're writing that it was generated with the assistance of, it wasn't written by, because obviously you're going to do your own editing, but I think you just got to be transparent. And I'll go into that a little bit further when I answer Derek's question. But recently, Originality AI has made an announcement that they've updated their algorithm, and now it can check for ChatGPT output and also recognize ChatGPT 4 output as AI, and also paraphrased output. So basically, if you put your content through a paraphraser, then it's still going to be detected as AI. So the short story is that what may pass the AI detectors today may not pass them tomorrow. And I'm looking at it saying, I don't think we should really try to play cat and mouse with AI detectors, try to trick them and everything else, because eventually they'll catch up to you and you might have gone to all that trouble, rewriting and rephrasing, that sort of stuff to beat the AI detectors. And then they update their algorithms and all of a sudden all your content that is out there is detectable. Okay, so that is the big news, and it's pretty, it's pretty accurate. I put some content through that I've written myself, and it's come up saying 100% human. I put stuff through that I've put through ChatGPT. The only problem I have with Originality AI now is that even the content that I rework and rephrase, like that I manually rework and rephrase, reword, that's also coming up as AI. So I'm not terribly worried. I'll go into why I'm not terribly worried shortly. Okay, so now to answer Derek's question. Derek basically asked, he's going through the book and he's got a question about grammar checkers and which one I would recommend out of the three, out of Grammarly, ProWritingAid, and Quillbot. Okay, so basically Grammarly and ProWritingAid are basically the same animal. ProWritingAid is an alternative to Grammarly, so you definitely don't need both. Right? They both do the same job. I've got a paid version of ProWritingAid. I was fortunate enough to get in on a lifetime deal a number of years ago. So I'm very happy that I did that because I use ProWritingAid every day. That's my tool of choice. I haven't used Grammarly recently, obviously, because I've had Pro Writing Aid, but I did use Grammarly up until Pro Writing Aid, and that's also a very good tool. So either or, either or. Now, when it comes to Quillbot, I don't use Quillbot a lot. I do use it, but I don't use it a lot. Okay. All I'll do is if I'm stumped trying to rephrase a sentence, then I'll put that sentence through Quillbot and get some suggestions. But I won't just use the suggestion that Quillbot comes back with. I'll actually keep on saying, redo it again, redo it again, redo it again until it comes up with something that I like. And then, as I said, it does have little drop downs, so you can then choose different words. And then I'll bring that back into my document and I'll edit it. I'll bring it back into my own voice. And this is the important thing. So out of an entire chapter, say out of a 3,000 or 4,000 word chapter, I might only put one or two or maybe even three sentences through a rephraser. The rest of it I rephrase and rework manually. And there's a reason for that, because I'm a firm believer that you should write as you speak. Okay. And it depends on what you're writing. If you're writing a highly technical guide, that may change. But for the how-to world, like how to do this or how to do that, I really believe you should write as you speak. You should make it personal. So I use a lot of contractions. So I won't say you will, I'll say you'll. I have, I've, right? Because that just makes the reading flow better. I also use a lot of personalization, so a lot of you and your. So I want the words to come off the page as if I'm speaking directly to the reader, and obviously that makes it more engaging. The other thing that I want to do is I want to keep the language simple. So leave it, have it at a ninth grade level. And once again, there's a number of reasons for that. Firstly, it flows a lot better. People aren't sort of trying to figure out what you're trying to say if you're using complex language. And also, if further down the track you want to translate your book to another language, the simpler the language that you've used in your original book, you're going to get a far more accurate translation, because sometimes when you're using complex language, things do get lost in translation. And lastly, especially when you're selling books, you're selling to an international market. So there's going to be a lot of people out there where English isn't their first language. And so you want to keep your language simple so that, regardless of education level or language, they can read, consume, and apply what you're writing. Now, when I'm in Pro Writing Aid, I don't always use all the grammar correction suggestions that Pro Writing Aid comes up with. Okay, I mainly use Pro Writing Aid to check the readability grade level. As I said, I'd like to keep it around grade 9. But and also grammar, flow, like you can get so many different reports out of Pro Writing Aid to improve your writing. But it comes back to me wanting to keep a nice flow and write as I speak, and I don't speak with perfect grammar. Okay, so if I started to use every single suggestion that came out of Pro Writing Aid, it really wouldn't be in my true voice. So I like to keep it as grammatically correct as possible, but I don't take all the suggestions that come up, because I want it to read like I'm actually speaking to them. Okay. So of course I go through and I also edit. I take out extra words. ChatGPT has this problem of making the content very verbose and just putting in extra words that aren't needed. So I go through and I take out the extra that. So if the sentence reads the same without the that, then as it does with it, I'll take it out. I'll take out other words that are extraneous and just really cut it down. So basically in my editing process, I'm trying to reduce my word count, not increase it. So that's a roundup of what I wanted to speak to you today about is, number one, what passes AI detection today probably won't tomorrow, because the detection tools are getting better and better. I will take my content and I'll put it into a free AI detection tool called Content at Scale, and also use ChatGPT's AI detector tool as well. But I like to use Content at Scale because Content at Scale gives me information about how robotic my content is. And I don't want my content to be robotic. So whether or not it passes AI detection or not, you just can't spend hours and hours or weeks trying to beat the AI detection when they're going to update the algorithm and catch it as AI further in the track anyway. So I wouldn't have any headaches about that. But I do want my content to read like a human wrote it. I want it to sound as if it's coming from me, and that's why I do all the rephrasing, restructuring, rewording myself, because I'm putting my own language in the words that I use when I'm talking, and I want to have that conversational feel to the content. So I'll put it through that detector to make sure that it's coming up as being like a human wrote it, which basically has happened because I've taken a first draft and now I've manually modified it and made it my own. And I think that comes back, and I've said this in other videos, is I don't think the goal is to go out there and trick AI detectors, especially when you put things through rephrasing tools like Quillbot. It can become very difficult to read, no flow, and words that you would just never use in everyday conversation. The idea of using AI to assist you in writing is to give you the first draft so you can come back and edit it and polish it and make it your own, so that when the reader looks at it, it just doesn't jump off the page as being obviously AI generated. And it's a good experience for the reader, and they can go through, they can consume it, they can apply the tips and the strategies, and they can solve their problem. And as long as you're doing that and the reader has a good experience, I really don't think you're going to run into any problems. Okay. So once again, if you want the prompt guide, the free prompt guide, you can get that from the link below. That has the prompts that I use when I'm generating my nonfiction books. If you want to take a deeper dive into the world of nonfiction writing with ChatGPT, you can check out my book, the ChatGPT Nonfiction Writer's Companion Guide. You can find it on Amazon, on Kindle and paperback, and even hardcover. And if you want, and those links are below the video, and also below the video are links to the tools that I use on a daily basis through the creation of my nonfiction books. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions at all, please do not hesitate in reaching out to me. You can drop a comment in the link below or send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And until next time, happy writing.